China Best Work in 2012. Now, this is thoughtful. Hello, I'm Jimmy Lam in Shanghai. I'm the guest host of this special end of the year episode of Thoughtful China. We have invited 3 of China's leading creative directors to the studio today to share what they believe are the best ad or campaign created in Greater China this year. My guests are Leong Wai Foong, ECD of BBDO and Prosperity Greater China, Johnny Tang, ECD of BBH China, and Graham Fink, Chief Creative Officer of Ogilvy Mather China. We have asked each of them to bring in a couple of their favorite work produced this year in Greater China, including Hong Kong and Taiwan, and talk about why they think these ads work. Also, Thierry Halbroth, ECD of McCann Worldgroup Cathay Pacific Global Team in Hong Kong, and Chairman of the Hong Kong 4A's Creative Committee and the 2012 CAMFAN Awards Committee, will share a Western perspective about how China ranks globally as a creative market. Okay, Leong, let's you be the first one to shoot. So what ad you have picked?
So my very first ad is a campaign from Taiwan. It's called Isabel. Let's have a look.
这边风景不错哎，要不要看？
好啊。哦，哎，好清楚哦。
好看吗？
嗯。你要看吗？
5楼到了，谢谢。
我们结婚吧。
地下2楼到了，谢谢。
我们结婚吧。
17楼到了，谢谢。
我们结婚吧。
Yeah, just the first 2
I
ads.
can share with you guys some background because the brand is a really aging brand. It's getting very old, you know, and previously they used kind of like make-believe foreign romance, you know, Brian Bio in the garden and all that. So the brand is actually going down. So they asked the agency to pitch for it and asked the agency to come up with 1 commercial. The agency come up with 12, right? Very brave. And also that year, Taiwan economy going down, so nobody want to get married. Nobody kind of, you know, why get married now? So in a way, wedding cake, if more people don't get married, nobody going to buy wedding cake. So that's why they try to create all these reasons, for horoscope thing, and of course the client freak out when they see the 12 thing, but eventually they bought it and produced all 12.
Wow, so they did 1 for each.
Yeah, 1 for each
star
horoscope.
sign.
Yeah,
I mean, that's a great idea.
Yeah. And each one have a story about boy, girls, or proposing in some of the not bizarre, but very intriguing situation that you never thought of people will propose like that?
I think it's amazing because you never underestimate these sort of cultural nuances. I mean, the things about horoscopes and whatnot, it's a really big deal. I've actually seen interviews happen where they're interviewing new people and go, so what's your star sign? I'm like, is that appropriate? But apparently it tells a lot about a particular person, and that means a lot. I think that's one of those things when you tap into, the cultural nuances and you really make that a big deal and actually demonstrate that in an interesting way. I think that really makes quite a difference.
And it's just echo to the point that I was talking about. This ad audio is not produced in China, mainland China, but it can and is already making an impact. Because I've been following to see how the internet people, right, is following it, watching it. To a certain extent, they're even posting their own way. It's like, nah, if you want to go for someone who is Scorpion, that is not the way, you should do this. So that creates a second life of the whole campaign, which is great.
That's interesting. That could easily run here. In fact, that same idea could run elsewhere with that kind of same.
Yeah. And the good thing about it is, most of the brand will have a great slogan. However, the slogan of this brand, which is "Let's get married," 我们结婚吧, it's been an old slogan using for years for the brand, but they just give a new meaning to the slogan.
I love the clip you showed there where at the end she jumps into the lift and pins a guy against the lift door, and the lift doors closed. So it's up to your imagination what really goes on. But
that's pretty brave too, to even depict a woman in that light. It's quite interesting.
I think the agents did very well, because think about creating 12 stories, right? It's not easy to create 12 very interesting stories, each of that stand on their own feet based on the, let's get married, at the end of it. But I think the agency's done a very good job.
I think it's interesting when, obviously for any creatives to be able to produce multiple films is a really good thing, but it's often difficult to keep audiences entertained or follow through. So in a case like this, when it's the different signs and it's all interesting, so you almost want to look forward to the next one and next one. That actually kind of justifies why you have such a long form, format, which is interesting.
a brave client, like you say. What was the star sign of the client?
We need to find out about it. Yeah,
Maybe we should.
Yeah.
All right, Johnny, you got pretty excited with the Let's Get Married campaign. Let's see what you have selected.
Actually, funny enough, I've selected one from Taiwan as well, believe it or not. It's actually quite a famous one, I imagine. It's for TC Bank, if I'm not getting it wrong. It's actually a long form piece as well. It's quite an emotional piece. I think it's for a bank. Clearly, as far as banks go, it's usually pretty uninteresting and dry. There are a couple of things about it I think we'll talk about later on, but it's very different from all bank advertising. And I think we should all take a look and then we'll talk about why.
人为什么活着？为了思念，为了活下去，为了活更长，还是为了离开？
去骑摩托车吧！
5个台湾人，平均年龄81岁，1个重听，1个得了癌症。 3个有心脏病，每一个都有退化性关节炎。6个月的准备，环岛13天。 1139公里，从北到南。 从黑夜到白天，只为了一个简单的理由。人为什么要活着？
So, I mean, I think there are a couple of points about this that makes it extraordinary. I think, first of all, in the category itself, it's very different. You know, it just stands out completely from the rest of the stuff that's all dry and information. I think the power of storytelling in China is incredible. It's something like this that you kind of dig into telling the true story about, you know, ordinary people doing extraordinary things, and that's the emotional function of what banks are supposed to be about. I think that's great. And I think the other point that makes it extraordinary as well, which is very underrated these days, is the power of crafting. Everything from music to the casting of this thing is just unbelievable. I think Tananchai shot it, if I'm not mistaken. It's, again, fantastic, you know, craftsmanship and storytelling. I think, you know, it just stands out.
And in fact, the thing is, just want to echo to that. The nice story about this, right, is it linked back to the brand name, Public Brand. Because Public is known as a group of ordinary people. So they're showing all these ordinary people with the extraordinary integrity and trying to tell the consumer that Public Bank is an ordinary bank with extraordinary integrity. So I think very smart.
Okay, Graham, there have been a lot of great banking at our UK. I mean, we almost like grow up with that. Most of them are based on very humorous expression. So how do you see this from, if you have to put yourself back to London, how do you see this spot?
You know, for me, this really stands up. It was something I saw when I first came over here, and what I liked about it is that it's a true story. You know, all those guys, they're not actors. They are the real people, and I thought that was fantastic, you know. And that gives it a great backstory too, so it's not just a commercial, but if you want to follow the story, you know, it is real. And that for me just is a clincher.
All right, now your turn
Okay.
to select the one.
So I picked the Nike Olympic campaign, and there's quite a lot of them, but we'll probably just look at 5 or 6 of my favourites, and I'll talk about why I like them. Okay, well, why I love this is because it's so spontaneous, and it was in a reaction to what happened at the Olympics. So, and it's all about the Chinese story. So the athletes or the swimmers or whatever happened to them in their event, this was encapsulated in an ad, and it ran the next day. And that just shows that, you know, the sports thing is all about winning, and it makes Nike win the game again because they are ahead of the competition. To react to something so fast, and there were some terrific messages, even if the athletes didn't win, or you know, the hurdler who kind of hopped over the line on the one leg. They reacted to it. So I just think it's great. It just shows them being smart, being, you know, quick, and yeah, they win.
Agreement. In fact, the thing is, you know, Nike always have the spirit about the just do it, whether be you're the winner or the loser. So I think the charming part about this, right, is not only it capture the brand accent, it's the times that respond to it so spontaneously and so fast. So I think it's a lovely campaign.
Okay, let's take a break to hear from Thierry Halbroth with a thought or two with the Western perspective about how China ranked globally in the creative market.
Having been involved for the past 12 years around the region, there is no doubt that I've seen some great creative work coming out of China. In the past 2 years, the two Cannes Lions Grand Prix are testament of this. However, can we really label China as a creative force regionally or even globally? There is no easy answer, and I personally think that while growing in influence, it has yet to reach a consistent level and larger scale. So far, the outstanding work we've seen has been largely done for multinational corporations and we're one off. So the question really is, how do we get more great work out of China? I'm not sure it has anything to do with localization, since a good idea should translate universally. I believe it has to do a lot more with clients having to deal with the fear of failure. Creativity's number one archenemy. While being more adverse to this, this is not a situation that's unique to China. One of the biggest problems, in my view, has to do with educating, nurturing, and growing local talents in a market that sees any gifted individual jump ship for a few $100s more. It takes a lot of effort and investment for agencies to tackle this one, and this is not something that agencies alone can tackle. There also needs to be a demand for great work, and this has a lot more to do with clients, and especially Chinese clients. We already know that Chinese consumers are craving for good creativity, and both clients and agencies have a role in ensuring that pride in greatness, not greed, is injected in everything that they produce. China has the know-how, it has the talent, it just needs more drive to create greater work.
Thanks, Terry. We're back in the studio with Leong, Johnny, and Graham. Okay, now we're back to you, Johnny. What is the second ad you...
This second selection is actually quite interesting because, funny enough, it's one of those ads that I noticed when watching TV when I was in Taiwan. And believe it or not, it's often that we find ourselves being ad people, just watching ads in an ad world, but we never consider watching an ad from a layperson standpoint. And this is one of those that just instantly caught my attention. I had a good laugh, particularly because it's for a category that's notorious to be quite difficult and always kind of sort of the same. So let's take a look. It's from McDonald's.
So Leong, do you agree that this McDonald's spot, what do you think about this McDonald's spot?
It's simple, it's nice. I know what exactly it's selling. It's selling a very spicy chicken wings, and that's it. I just show you how spicy it is. And the thing is, what I like about it, right, is most of the fast food ad, you just can't run away from cut to an ingredient shot, a cooking shot, everything. I'm just thinking, do we really need to look at those shots to know exactly what is the food you're trying to sell to me? So to me, I like it. It's very simple. And in fact, as what Johnny said, it made me smile.
Graham?
You know what I love about this most of all is a surprise, because it starts off with this slow camera pan around the room, and you're just kind of hearing this yelling, you know, and you think, what's coming? And the camera doesn't reveal it till right at the end. And I love the sound design. You know, it's just really, really beautiful. It's like little water drops and just like a little bit of music there, hardly anything. It's kind of less is more, you know.
And you can imagine how this can form into the campaign by using the sound design. From the Bruce Lee, aha, imagine the next one can be a panting sound, you can create another stuff.
Okay, now move to Graham, your second choice.
Sure. Well, the one I picked is the Lynx body wash, your little brother. And what I love about this is well, everything really. The attention to detail, the way it's shot. It's just very, very funny. But it comes from this great insight, you know, that most guys just use whatever's available and they don't really think about making that purchase themselves. So it's talking about, you know, smelling manly rather than, you know, you could be picking up your, you know, your mum's kind of shower gel. So I think it's great. We'll have a look.
各位男士，想要成为女生心目中对味的男生，你就必须洗出男人味。但是你常常忽略这一点。要成为一个真正的男人，你需要在意很多，比方说你的小兄弟，因为谁都知道他有时会太顽皮。林氏形体沐浴露专为无论大小的各种男士设计，含有男性香氛的丰富泡沫，轻松一冲，彻底洗净，让魅力一触即发。恭喜你，现在你闻起来更男人了。所以，只有洗出男人味，你才算是一个真正的男人。相信我，对女生来说，这一定对味。
Yeah, I think it's great. You know, it's very funny, it's very sexy, but it comes from a great insight. But if you look at the way it's shot, it's just all the details. You know, the stickers on the door, and there's like the little key hole in the girl, like you unlock the secrets, and it goes into a whole campaign about, you know, tips to pick up girls in the lab. I mean, it's just a great campaign.
I wonder who created that.
So Johnny, does it get you into any trouble kind of pushing the boundary? I mean, this is China.
It is definitely quite a risque ad, but you know, the trick is to do it in the straightest way possible. But the people who are watching it, you're talking about kids, they read between the lines and they totally get it. So it's the ability to tell a straight story but has hidden meaning underneath it. And you know, it's one of those things where you try to figure out what makes China laugh. And sometimes it's not always slapstick. Sometimes you just have to let them fill in the blanks. I think, you know, the Chinese consumers or the kids are actually very sophisticated. You know, so when you give them stuff like that, they feel incredibly rewarded because, you know, they got something out of it. And this is a straight demonstration of a product, to be really honest. You know,
I just hope this ad don't remind the censorship to tighten their terms and regulations next time.
All right, Leong, the last one.
So the thing is, since your brief, right, is taking an ad produced in China, no matter how I want to modify the brief, I still want to give what you want. So this ad that I'm going to share, in fact, it is an ad produced in China and ran in China. I think it was about 10 or 12 years ago. And it's an ad that using a very simple metaphor. However, it makes the viewer rethink on the stuff or the facts that we have been taking for granted. So it's very simple, very convincing. I'm not going to disclose anymore. Just have a look on it.
Although you're not following the brief,
let me confess.
But the ad is good, so we let you get away with this, all right? So
no, let me confess. In fact, I know the brief is like the ad produced in China recently within this year.
12 months, not 12 years.
But literally, the reason why I picked this ad, right, is that was the times that when I haven't come to China yet, I was working in Singapore. So the first time when I saw this ad, I was thinking, it's like, wow, very simple metaphor. Literally, it makes you rethink. It is true, we be enjoy the benefit, right, which is by other people, which is so-called the other people's kids. So what have we done for them? It just makes you rethink about that. It's so simple in terms of the idea, the metaphor, and the execution, everything is so simple. But the thing is, look at nowadays, all the ads that we produce in China, easily 2.3 million production costs. Easily you go to the huge mountain, you have tons of props. But the thing is, it's just lack of the convincing or the impact or the so-called goosebump that I will have when I look at the ad. It's funny enough that, sometimes when we are judging the award, the moment we look at the ad, we will know that is from China. Because the production cost is so high, that is from China. And sometimes when we look at some of the ad, it's like, it's so emotional, the story. That has to be from either Thailand, Hong Kong, or Taiwan. So I'm just thinking, with all the opportunity, with all the production budget that we have in China, why can't we put the money to tell an even more emotional story?
Graham, if you saw this spot 12 years ago, would that make you come to China 12 years ago?
I don't know if that would have made me come to China, but it certainly stands out. And I think from everything that we've looked at today, it's so different, isn't it? It's so incredibly simple. It almost looks nothing, and they're the hardest ads to do. And I like the fact that it's in black and white. I love the type, and again the music, And I'm sure we'll remember that ad tomorrow.
I think the other thing also is the authenticity. I think Graham mentioned that earlier on as well, the authenticity of a brand. This obviously was for not a brand per se, but there's a certain connectivity that happens when you're being authentic. You're trying to tell a story, an emotional story. It connects with people. I think far too often we're exposed to too many advertising truths versus human truths. When you put that forward, it changes people. I think that the best advertising does that, and it's simple.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, hopefully this spot sent a lot of signal to the young kid, young creative people in China, that all it matters is that insight, is that little point that touch your heart about some other people's child, your child.
Exactly, because in fact there was so many presentations, I'm sure, to you, and to you. In the presentation or in the meeting, what we heard, right, is all the marketing terms, the brand positioning, the consumer insight, the brand pyramid, the product attribute. But we all forget about one thing. All this is the terms that help us to craft the story, but not the other way around. So that's why, in fact, I hope this ad, right, can send a message and just make us rethink on stuff that we've been taking for granted.
Thanks for watching. See you next year.